What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here for Adorama TV with the new Fujifilm X-T5. There've been a lot of releases coming out from Fujifilm right now, right? The XH2S, the XH2, and now we have the X-T5. And this is looking at double the resolution, roughly, of the X-T4 prior to this one. So what do we got going on here? Well, this is a 40 megapixel APS-C sensor, just like Fuji has been known to do that size sensor in the X-T line. But with double the resolution, we're talking about if you are in an X-T4 and you've been saying, man, I want more resolution, you're kind of looking at this camera. But where does this sit in the lineup? Well, you have the XH2 out there, which is also 40 megapixel, but if you're looking for more video robust features, you're kind of looking at the XH2. This is going more towards the stills, but it is still a very capable video camera, giving you 6.2K and 4K options, but you're really looking at the stills capability and the feel of this camera, because physically it's different. No top screen, you're looking at physical dials, which we know and love from Fujifilm, but the XH2 also has CF Express Type B as one of the memory card slots. Here we're looking at dual SD, which is great if you're someone that has a lot of SD memory and you don't want to move into a new memory system. And also, it is a tilt screen with also that portrait tilt thing that they do, right? You don't have the flip out screen, which means you can have that for the XH2 with the add-on fan attachment if you're doing long video runs. See what I'm saying? Like, everything seems to be a little bit more video leaning on the XH2, including 8K video. Here, more stills. So the story here is really, if you like the X-T4 and you wanted more resolution, you're looking at it here. The difference is, of course, like I said, there's no flip out screen like the X-T4 had. So if you like that, you might want to take that into consideration. Also, no data port here, which basically means that we're not going to be looking at a grip for this camera. So if that's something else to consider, think about it. Now, we took a really cool setup here and kind of went with an organic feel. I had my girl Whitney in here, who is a very accomplished composer here in New York, and she's got this rad setup with this killer piano and handwritten music. I want to see all the detail. It's an incredible scene that she's got going on here, and I wanted to make sure that we were really showing off what this camera is capable of with all that resolution. I worked a bunch of lights into the set. Outside, we threw a CTO gel on a B10X and ripped it through the window at full power, while also filling the room with a quarter CTO to keep that warm vibe. And then we just threw in a key light right onto Whitney, but not making it like overly lit so that you can see that she's lit, but more like it's organic, and we just have a little bit of neutral on her so she doesn't look like she's in some orange wonderland. And of course, I had to throw another light in there just to kind of break up some of the darkness that was happening, because it is a pretty dark space, but it's also very monotone, which I really like, because we always tend to show off all the color Fujifilm is known for. And if you do shoot Fuji, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here it was very, wood, off whites, things like that. And then you had like some punchy red from her lipstick, but overall you were looking more about the details rather than the color here, which I was kind of psyched on. And of course I had to keep the light looking organic, so I put the gels on kind of wonky so that it had more of like a spread around look. And you don't think that matters, but if you're gonna rip a light through a window and you have a tight gel on it, it can easily just look like a circle. You kind of want it to have like a weird shape to it so that when you are using it to mimic a sunset, you get that kind of look to it. And how could we do this shot without Willie in the shot? We had one of the coolest cats ever. He's a, guy could lose a few pounds, but it's okay. We love him nonetheless. And he's super cuddly, and he was just down to hang out on the piano. So all in all, it was a shot for Whitney to use as maybe promo for herself in her career, or just fun for her social, or just to show who she is as a person while having like a nice classic look to it. And of course, you had to show off the cat. I mean, it's Willie. I mean, have you seen Willie? Look at this cat. He loves this camera. Look at him. Last time with the XH2 video, you guys messaged me a lot asking about the ISO noise, because that's a curiosity I would have too. It's 40 megapixel on APS-C sensor. That's a lot of resolution on that sensor, and the higher you go in res, the more prone you are to noise at higher ISOs. So that's kind of how I approach the situation, is I lit the situation how I want to light it. I'm in a controlled situation, so I'm shooting at ISO 200 for this scene, if that gives you guys any type of benchmark. But if it's a lower light situation where I know I'm going to crank up the ISO, it's right tool, right job, and you're either going for resolution, clean, and able to control the environment, or you're taking into consideration low resolution and able to crank that ISO for a cleaner image. At some point, diminishing returns one way or the other, right? So pick the right tool for the right job here. So aside from the resolution, you're also looking at the speed of the camera, right? They still have that electronic shutter that we just got introduced to in the XH2 with the 108,000th of a second, which is insane on the electronic shutter. But you also have 20 frames per second electronic, and you also have 15 frames per second mechanical. However, there are some caveats that there are crops in certain modes and different shutter types. So be sure to check this link down below for the full specification, so you're totally clued into exactly what's going on with the frames per second when you're changing from mechanical or electronic shutter, okay? Aside from that, this is basically what you'd expect from Fujifilm. This feels like an XT series. And if you've just been out, like I said before, if you've just been saying, if I just had a little more resolution, well, here it is, the X-T5 40 megapixel. Well, that's gonna do it for me. If you guys have any questions, hit me with a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer it. This is a pre-production, so I've only been able to shoot the JPEGs right now. So if you have any questions about the RAW files, maybe give me a second on that. But anything else, I'll be sure to answer it down in those comments. Don't forget to like, share the video around, hit subscribe and the bell so you get notified when I put up more videos like this. My name's Seth Miranda, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.